So I hope everybody is doing well today, wherever you are in the world. It could be good morning, it could be good afternoon, good evening. Just hope you're keeping a nice, calm, clear mind, positive attitude, and ready now to do some reciting of the Buddhist verses that we call chanting, and then also some meditations before we continue talking or addressing actually some questions in relation to the universal law of karma, of cause and effect. As you know, we've been doing this for the last 3 weeks, and I couldn't quite finish last week, so I will continue to talk about the 6 realms, specifically today, the 3 lower realms and the causes of them and so forth. I'll give you a few different examples as well, related to being a human being, so seeing things from a human perspective. Okay, so with a clear mind, mindfulness, awareness, conscientiousness, we'll do some chanting. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. And may they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Hum Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. Tayata Hum Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. Tayata Hum Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. So now get yourself comfortable for the meditation. You could say we do 3 types of meditation in each class. The first one, of course, is releasing the tension from the body and the mind, which is preparatory for the breath meditation. And then, of course, we do loving kindness meditation to finish off as well. So now get yourself in that position to release the tension. Nice, calm body to begin with, and then work your way to releasing. Even if you have small amounts of tension, just release that tension. This tends to bring the mind inside the body as well, and also to release the tension from the body. Gently close your eyes, lips gently touching, tongue resting on the upper palate, just above your top teeth in your mouth. Shoulders nice and relaxed without being slouching. So bring your mind inside your body to release, like I said, whatever tension you have, starting at the tips of the toes and working your way up the legs, up the upper torso to the shoulders, down to the tips of your fingers, and then back up to the top of your head. So we'll take a few moments to do this now. And remind you as well that if you're finding it difficult to release some tension, then try doing it a deep breath in and then a long out breath and release the tension on the out breath. Or if you have to, then you can manipulate the body, just move it a little bit, stretch it a little bit. So now briefly scan your body again just to see if there's any more leftover tension and release that. And when you've done this, place your mind onto your breath. Initially at the tip of your nose as you breathe in, past your throat and chest area, all the way into your lungs. And the lungs, as they fill with air, they expand. As you breathe out, they compress. You breathe out your nose, breathing in, breathing out. If you're so inclined, you can also add the extra technique of counting the breaths from 1 up to 10. 1 in-breath and out-breath is 1, and so on and so forth. And if you become distracted on the way to 10, then go back to 1 at that time. During the meditation, if your mind wanders, if thoughts arise, emotions or mental feelings arise, any mental activity, don't cling to it. Don't grasp at it. Don't try to forcefully push it away either. Don't deny it. Instead, let it go naturally by replacing your mind onto your breath. And if your mind starts to become dull or sleepy, then wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. This way, refocusing or replacing your mind onto your breath is the antidote for both the agitated mind, the worried mind, as well as the dull mind. So let's practice like this for a few minutes in silence. Don't try too hard. Don't try too little. So now you can feel very pleased for engaging in the practice. And now fill yourself with universal loving kindness. As I often say, you are your own best friend. Fill yourself with this loving kindness. You can utilize the visualization technique and fill yourself with white light or white nectar. Or if you prefer, you can just have the feeling of universal loving kindness, friendliness, harmlessness, and the like. Universal loving kindness is the antidote for hatred and dislike and anger. So we should do this in our daily lives too. For if you fill yourself with universal loving kindness and friendliness, it will radiate outwards to others. And they will feel safe around you. And even those people that behave very badly, it will leave some sort of positive imprint on their consciousness. So now radiate your loving kindness outwards, initially to your loved ones, family, friends, filling them with universal loving kindness too. And also to strangers. And those you find difficult, may even regard as enemies. May all of these three types of people, from your perspective, may they have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they be peaceful, filled with loving kindness. Now gradually radiate this loving kindness out further and further. Now to include all of those living beings that live around your immediate area. Whether they live on the land, under the land, in the waters, fly through the air. Whether they were born from wombs, from eggs, from moisture, or through transformation, or whether they are yet to be born. Further and further now, radiating this loving kindness, like a tidal wave of loving kindness, to radiate throughout your whole state or county, and other states and counties throughout your whole country. And other countries throughout the whole world, all of the countries, and all of the living beings, the innumerable living beings. You fill them with loving kindness, and you wish that they have happiness, are free from suffering, and are peaceful. May peace and harmony pervade this whole planet. Which is very large compared to the size of our bodies, but actually quite small, very small, in fact, compared to some of the larger physical things throughout this universe. Now radiate the loving kindness throughout the whole solar system. Further and further to include other solar systems throughout the whole galaxy. And other galaxies throughout the whole universe. And also have this loving kindness radiate to all of the different realms of existence. The ones you may know about, such as the human realm, the animal realm. The ones that you are taught about by the Buddha, such as the heavenly realms, the Asura realm, the Preta realm, the hell realms. May all the living beings throughout all of these realms realize happiness and cause the happiness. May they be free from suffering and free from the causes of suffering. And may they be at peace and in harmony. Radiate your loving kindness throughout infinite space. Whilst also here and now to recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of Shunyata, not yet born, arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. So as mentioned, we'll continue the discussion about addressing some queries or questions about the law of karma, law of cause and effect, which obviously includes rebirth, and some people may call reincarnation. We tend to use rebirth, though, in Buddhism, just mainly as a point of difference compared to the other traditions, such as the Hindu tradition and others that believe in many, many lifetimes, and they tend to use reincarnation. And so we got up to talking about the different realms of existence. If you missed the previous classes, last 3 classes, then revisit the videos on the YouTube channel or scroll down on Facebook and just have a little look at those then, so I don't repeat myself. And today we'll discuss specifically the 3 lower realms, because I rushed past that last week and actually neglected to mention the main negative cause of the animal realm, to be reborn in the animal realm. So I'll give you those to begin with. So the main negative cause to be born in the animal realm is stupidity, and obviously based on ignorance. And think about it, the animals, especially the ones, not so much the home pets, even though they're very similar as well, obviously, but think about the ones in the wild. What's the biggest fear? Probably their biggest fear would be getting killed as food, being eaten by other animals, by other living beings, even human beings. So they're always living in fear. I remember many years ago sitting in the park with my master Chanting in California with a bunch of other people, and I just noticed all of these little squirrels. Now, all of us were vegetarian. Now, we're not going to kill the squirrels for their meat, and there were no seeable other creatures that were going to harm them at that time, but they were so nervous. Their habit was they were so nervous, so fearful. And even though they did come up to us to receive some food, and they didn't do so comfortably. So, I thought, I wish they'd be free from this nervousness and this worry about their lives being taken at any moment. So a lot of the animals, they're like that. And we say stupidity. You think about that, they're living instinctively. There's not a lot of contemplation, I imagine, investigation, analysis of things, how they are. They just live instinctively. Now, some people may say, okay, animals have heightened senses, and that's very true, they do. Us humans, probably due to our complicated mind, our senses, we don't pay attention to them much. For instance, if there's weather changes or some sort of imbalance in the environment is about to come about, the animals tend to foresee it and scatter. And other heightened sense sort of reactions as well. But you could almost say it's programmed in a sense. They're not doing it based on intellect as such, even though they do have some intellect. Okay, so I think I won't harp on about that. So basically the main cause of this realm, being born in this realm, is stupidity. You could say mental dullness as well. The main cause of being born in the hungry ghost realm or preta realm, as mentioned last week, and I won't go into detail now, is miserliness and greed. I think that is easy to perceive. These are living beings. They live quite a long lifetime, apparently, but they can never fulfill their desires. They're always hungry, not just for food, but other things. They can't fulfill their desires in a very long lifetime. And so obviously, if you are, let's say as a human being, you are miserly, let's say you do have things, material things, and you keep them only for yourself and don't share them with others, especially those that need help, then obviously what you're doing, you're going to cause this type of existence where you don't have anything. And also greed, if you're always taking things, rather than being giving, then this will also result in that type of existence or birth and then the existence. Then, of course, we have the hell realms, and it is said that the main cause of this is anger and hatred. I think that should also be quite obvious to you. All you have to do is think about it a little bit on a deeper level, just even for a few moments, and I think you can see clearly that this would definitely result in being reborn in this hellish type of existences. So let's say, for instance, you are killing based on anger, based on hatred, then obviously the karma doesn't just go away without ripening. It will ripen where you yourself will experience this type of rebirth or this type of existence. Even if you are still a human being, you will experience a lot of the effects that come from this. You probably will be around a lot of death. I imagine you will be around a lot of distrust, and dislike, don't have really sincere friends and so forth because of this hatred and this anger. So we ourselves are causing our existence. We are causing the effects of the karma, okay? So I think that that'll do just for that for the moment, though I may revisit it before the class is out. How long do we have? Maybe about 13 minutes. I wrote some notes after last week's class because I didn't quite finish, and I didn't want to forget a few things. Okay, example, from a human perspective, like I mentioned, think about the animals. We can perceive them from our own side. Not from their side, we can't read their minds. But I think we can come to some understanding of the possible causes of them being reborn in that condition. Of course, there are multitudes, innumerable type of animals. And then, of course, even within these different types of animals, each one is different as well, just like human beings, different mental state and so forth. So think about, I remember years ago thinking about what would it take to be like a dog, a guard dog. And I thought to myself, and I don't know whether I read it somewhere, but I thought to myself, maybe because you are so protective over your material possessions and your house and things like that, maybe you are so clinging to these things, not being generous at all, not being miserly, for instance. Maybe you can be reborn as a guard dog close to your home, if not in your home. Of course, I'm using some humor here, but there could be some truth in this as well. Of course, the karma is not black and white like that. We're creating good karma, bad karma, and indifferent karma all the time, every moment. So you can't just say, oh, you think like this one time, then you're going to experience that time. It's changeable, constantly changing. And so what else can I mention about that? So from a human's perspective, you can see that many human beings, and hopefully not you, hopefully not me, right now anyway, maybe in the past we could have had glimpses of this type of behavior, but many human beings behave like animals. I don't mean to be put down other living beings now, okay? I'm not like that at all, but just giving this for example. Now, if we are not kind to each other, if we're not utilizing this human life, at least to be kind, to improve ourselves in relation to our own mind, but also in relation to other living beings and how we interact with other living beings. And if we're not doing this, then we might as well be like the beasts. Let's say we were running around taking from each other, running around hurting each other, only for your own survival and not thinking about others whatsoever, even your loved ones. Maybe we think we are, or those beings think they are, but maybe not, only thinking of themselves. Then you could say that they are living sort of like in the animal realm at that time, only sort of for survival. And then, of course, having the fears that go along with that, the fears and the hopes and so forth. Now, think about the hungry ghost realm. There are living beings in this world that are experiencing the lack of fulfillment of their desires, whatever that may be. Of course, this could relate in starvation. It could relate in not having certain conditions that are necessary for a good existence and for survival especially. There are many living beings in this planet, and also people in this planet that live like this, unfortunately. You could say this is kind of like an example of the hungry ghost realm. And then, of course, there's many living beings that are experiencing extreme suffering. Now, this, you could say it can be likened like an example of the hell realms, different hell realms. I'll give you an example here as well, and I'll include an example of what we call collective karma and individual karma. Of course, individual karma is the karma that the individual will experience, the result of the karma. Collective karma, it's kind of like the beings in that one area or experiencing similar life conditions. It's like a collective karma. So the beings on this planet, for instance, the human beings, to make it simple, the human beings on this planet have a kind of like a collective karma. The human beings that live around you and have similar living conditions to yourself, maybe that's an even better example. You kind of have this collective karma. Maybe the environment is balanced, maybe you have enough food, and things like that. Okay, so that's the whole of the universe and beyond actually is a result of the collective karma of all living beings, which is constantly changing, and therefore this existence, this universe and beyond is also constantly changing. So that's a bigger picture of it. But let's go back to individual as well. Let's say, for instance, and of course we don't want this, but let's say there's a natural disaster somewhere. Of course there are often in this world, unfortunately. So let's say in this natural disaster, maybe an earthquake, something like that. Then all of the living beings in that region that are experiencing that earthquake, you could say have kind of like a collective karma. They're kind of interrelated very closely. But each of the individual living beings, as well as you could say groups of these living beings, they will experience this disaster and the results of this disaster in a different way. Some may die instantly. Some may die with great fear. Some so instant that no fear. Some may die painstaking death, quite long, a lot of suffering. Whereas others, maybe they're experiencing that, but because maybe they've trained their mind to be calm and want to be maybe a good influence for their family around them, things like that, they are sort of reacting in a less negative way, you could say, less reactive in a certain sense. Maybe there are some that get injured very badly, some that don't get injured at all. Maybe even some of them, they get injured, but they want to help others, whereas other ones are thinking of themselves. You know, you can see, I won't go into too many more details. I think you can contemplate this actually, maybe contemplative meditation by yourself to think about all of the different possibilities. And so you can see that, and I'll go back to the initial point, and that is you can see on this planet, the human beings are experiencing hellish conditions at different times. Okay, so this is kind of like an example or an expression of the hell realms from a human perspective, so we can contemplate it. Okay, that's why we need to contemplate this, so that we ourselves don't create the causes for it, and then help others not to create the causes for rebirth in these realms as well. I'll make a point here as well, so I don't forget it. When you take genuine refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, it is said you are protected from being reborn in these lower realms. Genuine refuge. Okay, and also if you have the bodhicitta intention, obviously the more you have this pure intention, then the more your acts become virtuous acts, either body, speech, and mind. Okay, and so try your best to improve yourselves constantly to maintain this bodhicitta intention, and also to genuinely take refuge constantly in the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, and in your own enlightened nature, in a sense, as well. So I think that will do for that. And then think about, obviously as human beings, there's multitudes of different conditions that we all have. Then, of course, the Asura, the jealous gods, many human beings, maybe they have in powerful positions, such as, I'm thinking of Australia at the moment with the terrible government that we have. But they behave sort of like jealous gods, always fighting against other people, you know. And so I gave you examples of these different realms previously, okay, so I won't go into them again. But you can see that there are people like this, like I said, politicians, maybe gangsters, you know, they have, you know, really bad business type people. They have the conditions that make it look like they're really wealthy and things like that. But in their mind, they're constantly fighting against others. I remember years ago when my mother was working in occupational therapy with the, in those days we called intellectually handicapped. And I used to go in school holidays and help her sometimes. And also my sister did as well. And I remember having a contemplation, thinking about all of those people that are ripping each other off and being nasty to each other in the world. And then you had these guys that were harmless. Their mental faculties weren't intact. They, you know, maybe adults, but actually still had a mind of a very young child, but harmless. So I thought to myself, who are the mentally ill? And I thought maybe it's the ones that don't look like they're mentally ill, that are behaving in such a bad way to each other. Now, this is once again, just giving you some things to think about. But I just had that thought. I remembered that experience. And then, of course, you have other living beings that live like the good gods. You know, some living beings that may be materially wealthy and they're actually doing a lot of good in the world, helping with people that are in need in a big way. So you can see how you can contemplate the 6 realms from a human perspective to create more understanding, okay, to develop more of a clear insight into these types of teachings. But also it will help us to engage more in wholesome actions and then to avoid the unwholesome actions. So once again, there's many things. I've mentioned the stupidity. A friend of mine's dog, I remember years ago, we were in Sydney and he was going into this building in a very busy street and he left me with his dog. We'd been surfing together and he had an appointment. And so I let the dog out to go and have the toilet. And unfortunately, he ran across the road and there were automatic glass doors and he went smack into the glass doors. You know, he didn't realize that these were actually doors there. It just looked like it was open. And lucky he didn't get run over by a car, actually. And then I looked at him and he just went like this. And then he was fine. So if you think dogs don't have stupidity, then think of that story. I remembered that story when I was writing my little notes here. I think we can leave it there, and hopefully you got a lot from today's class and then got a lot to think about. I will mention this as we finish. Continuum of consciousness, or conscious continuum. This karma, this cause and effect, is brought on moment to moment to moment to moment. This moment of consciousness was caused by previous moments of consciousness, and also will result in coloring, you could say, the next moment of consciousness, and so on and so forth. So be careful to look after your mind really well. Live in the moment as much as you can. Maintain the bodhicitta intention. And I rejoice in your goodness, as per usual. Practice the Dharma really to the best of your ability. And share meritorious goodness with others.